Hello and welcome back to the latest edition of the Morning Bulletin here on the Blood Red channel. I'm your host, Edward Kay. Joining me today is Ben Bocsak, and we're going to get into a few little topics. Obviously, nothing too major as it's a while till Liverpool's next game. But I do want to preface this morning's stream with some sad news, unfortunately. Dan Kay was a former journalist with the Liverpool Echo, a semi-regular contributor to podcasts here on the Blood Red channel, and an absolutely tireless Hillsborough campaigner throughout his years. Unfortunately died yesterday, aged just 45. So I just want to take a moment to say that obviously the thoughts of everyone here on the Blood Red channel and at the Liverpool Echo are obviously with Dan's friends and family at this difficult time. But we will get into some Liverpool news now. Jorg Schmadtke, who I'm reliably informed Ben knows a bit more about than me, is currently being interviewed or in talks for Liverpool's, soon-to-be vacant sporting director role once Julian Ward leaves in the summer, having taken that over from Michael Edwards. And, I mean, the first thing I wanted to ask you about, Ben, is he seems to come with a bit of a larger-than-life reputation. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that, given it's obviously a role that has been performed at Liverpool, certainly over the last few years, fairly under the radar, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably the opposite of that. He does tend to be a bit more open with the media. He does give a lot of interviews and he's quite transparent, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, Klopp is certainly similar in that sense. He will be transparent when it comes to certain things and he will be a bit lighthearted. I think Schmadtke is similar. And I think as well, to draw even more parallels with Klopp is the fact that Schmadtke resigned from Wolfsburg earlier this year, citing the fact that he wants to spend more time with his family. He just needs a bit of time away from football. And, Klopp did that with Dortmund, resigned, left Dortmund, said he was going to have a bit of a hiatus from football. And, look what happened. Liverpool came calling a few months later and he accepted the job. And Schmadtke is similar in that sense. I think in his exit interview, he said, who knows, in a few months' time, my wife might be sick of me and I might be wanting to move on and get back into football. And it seems like if the talks are going the way that the reports are reporting it seems like that's a similar case with Schmadtke as well. It seems like maybe he's had a bit enough already of being away from football and staying at home.
Yeah, you mentioned he's quite open with the media and things like that. And I think that partly might be down to a bit of a cultural difference in terms of the way the leagues work. I know, obviously, you'd never really see a sporting director interviewed in England, but I know that is something that does happen elsewhere on the continent. You mentioned his sort of connections to Klopp, obviously the Bundesliga link there. I also saw something on Twitter that mentioned they're friends with the same German band or something like that. But do you think that this connection with Klopp, obviously the German Bundesliga connection, things like that, do you think that's playing a part in why he's in these talks?
I think so. I think you have to have a good working relationship and you have to know someone very well in these sort of roles. So I do think that's something that's going to be very helpful, just in terms of integrating him, because there's not a lot of time left now until the summer when he's supposed to be taking over and making those transfer decisions. So I think having someone who knows Klopp well, who is on board with what Klopp wants to do, is going to be imperative if Liverpool are to be successful this summer.
Yeah, we know it's going to be a massive summer for the Reds. So how much of a positive do you think it is that they're looking to get this sporting director role sort of sorted before the transfer window opens, and then they can, really get to work?
I think they're going to have to. It's not even, I think there's no positive or negative about it. It just has to be done at this point now, because if not, then it does end up becoming a negative. The longer Liverpool wait, the longer Liverpool sort of differ on who to bring in, then the less time they will have in the transfer window to put things right. And this is going to be a crucial transfer window for Liverpool, so they want as much time as possible.
Yeah, as you say, it is an absolutely crucial transfer window, which is, I suppose, why it is so important to get this sporting director role sorted. nice and early. But if it is Schmadtke that we do get in, Ben, he's going to have quite a job on, isn't he?
Yeah, although I think, some people have made a few remarks about, he sold Victor Osimhen for 3 million, so he must not be very good when it comes to, identifying talent. And I think, let's be honest, every sporting director is going to make a mistake. This role is you're not going to have 100% clean record with Osimhen as well. I mean, there was a release clause already inserted into his contract, which the Belgian side that ended up signing him and then selling him to Lille activated. And let's not forget, Michael Edwards made a similar mistake with another Nigerian forward in Taiwo Avaniyi, sold him for quite a small price tag at the time to Union Berlin, and then Union Berlin sold him for I think a record fee for Berlin to Nottingham Forest this summer. So every director is going to have a mistake, but on the whole, I think Schmadtke has done really well at Wolfsburg. When he joined the club, they were the last 2 seasons they finished on the cusp of sort of the relegation zone. They were fighting for relegation. Within a few years, with Schmadtke's recruitment, they went to the Champions League and they're now a regular team competing in European football. And he's signed players like Maxence Lacroix, who's been linked with top clubs. Wout Weghorst is already obviously at Manchester United, although he's a big Liverpool fan, we will say that. Riddle Baku, he's been linked with loads of clubs, Arsenal among them. And just a lot of other young players as well coming through right now. And I think he is really good in terms of using a tight budget, which he had at Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg don't tend to spend a lot of money, and putting that into good value players in under the radar markets. And I think that's kind of the person Liverpool need at the moment, someone who can work with a tight budget and get the best out of it.
Yeah, seeing value and being able to work under a budget, definitely something that is a box that needs to be ticked if you're going to be working under an FSG ownership. That's pretty clear. But Kumar in the comments there just saying letting go of Awani was a bit foolish. Obviously, one of the most frustrating parts of that was that he managed to come back and score against Liverpool for Forest. But he's got a great goal last night, actually. But we'll move on to Melo now, announcing, I mean, I'm not really sure it needed to be announced, but he will be leaving Liverpool at the end of the summer. Obviously, so far, I think it's just the 13 minutes against Napoli is registered in a Liverpool shirt. I mean, if you had to pick 2 words to describe it, it'd probably be letdown, wouldn't it, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on the guy because he did have a massive injury, which probably sort of derailed his progress. I think just when he came on against Napoli, it seemed like Klopp was kind of warming up to the idea of using him. Then, of course, he had the injury, which was really unfortunate. He probably could have been of use to Liverpool if he was fully fit. So, yeah, I think it's just a sort of sad tale, really. And it seems to be, unfortunately, the tale of his career in the last few years. He hasn't really had a very fortunate run of games or of just choosing the right clubs. And, yeah, I think all in all, disappointing for Liverpool, but at the same time, it's kind of expected of a signing that was such an emergency signing that Liverpool made last minute. Probably didn't think that much about it because they didn't have the time to think about it, and kind of gives me shades of the Stephen Corker signing when Liverpool needed a centre back. They brought him in, and he ended up playing as a forward.
Yeah, that was a very fun time under Klopp, that wasn't it, Stephen Corker up top. But as you said, it was just such a panic signing, and that's not really something Liverpool have been doing at all in recent years, is it? Obviously, they didn't get Tchouaméni in from Real Madrid, and Klopp realised a bit late that he did need a midfielder. I think it was an injury to, it was either Henderson or Thiago. I can't remember who it was at the time. But do you think that's going to, obviously, as I say, Liverpool not known for these panic buys and things like that. Do you think that's going to serve as a bit of a warning for for next time, that they need to identify their targets, get them in, and if they don't, have legitimate backups, because they can't really be putting themselves in a situation like this again, can they?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the whole of last summer was a learning curve, I think, for Liverpool, just in terms of how not to do business. And, I hopefully things will change this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully things will be different. If they manage to get Jorg Schmadtke in, hopefully steers the ship in the right direction in terms of recruitment. But that's all we're going to have time for here on the Morning Bulletin today. So, Ben, thanks for joining me, and we'll catch you next time.